bit deeper to help support the foundation. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. So the Wayne Gretzky Foundation has kindly donated $5,000. Thank you. So like I said, we have a fantastic evening planned. But what would our 10th gala be without our keynote speaker? It is with great pride and thankfulness that I want to present to the group the President and Chairman of PWR Canada, Mr. Keegan Johnson.
Those are the people that are sitting here saying, what the hell did you get me into? I thought I was going to a nice quiet little charity auction gala. So I heard the other day that people donate more when you're loud, so we're going to do things a little bit differently today. So the other day, around our house, we've been talking about getting a deck. I wasn't really a big fan of putting in a new deck at the house. My wife was a big fan of putting a new deck in the house. So we have a new deck. I read it last week, yeah. That's how we do things. So I woke up this morning and I thought, what am I going to talk about today? And I was talking to my wife, Tanya, and she said, well, you know what? It's a beautiful day. Why don't you just go out onto the deck and figure out what you're going to talk about? So I went out onto the deck, and of course it was just a beautiful day. So I said, okay, that's what I'm going to talk about. So really just two things. I'm going to talk about two specific days over the last year. Now that's it. In the middle, I'll let you know a little bit about some of the research that we've been up to. But before I start, I would be remiss if I didn't say a few words actually about our hosts of the evening here tonight. So I see Michelle, she usually tries to creep out outside the doors before we leave, but we got her this time. And we have Michelle and Manny. And what I want to let you know is, Manny talked about the fact that they started this gala 10 years ago. They've now gone on to raise over $1 million through those galas. But in addition, they started kind of the first Live Life Full, the first Proudly Single galas. We actually now have galas across Canada and literally across the United States because of what this family have done. And on top of that, behind the scenes, yes. Behind the scenes, they drive some of the operations, and it is quite literally, Manny and Michelle, you are a family that have contributed more to PWS research than almost any family in the world. And thank you very much for that. So the first day, I'm going to tell you about quickly, and this day was probably around November of this year. And it's related to my little guy, Dante, who's my son, 11 years old with Prader-Willi syndrome, and he's in grade 6 now. And he started out the year, it was pretty good, going to school. He was pretty excited, bringing home his homework, sitting down, ready to go through it. But things started to go south pretty quickly. And it seems like what was happening is he was just trying so hard to fit in with the rest of the kids. He wanted to do the exact same homework, wanted to do everything else the same, but he just couldn't. He wasn't able to. And he was having a real tough time putting it all together. So I started getting calls from the school to come to the school and deal with some pretty serious situations. start or something, got a call, got to come to the school, there's an emergency, you got to deal with this. So I got to a point where I said, okay, that's it. I convinced him to come back one last time. I said, we're fine, we're going to go through with this, nothing's going to cancel it. So I'm on the call, I'm talking to them, I get a call from the school. So I just hit ignore. And I think some of them are here today, but yeah, I hit ignore. Then I get a call again, I hit ignore. I get a third call, I'm like, I can't take this. Then my wife calls, ignore. I get another call, ignore. Yeah, that's the worst one, right? For the school. And I'm probably about 10, 15 minutes from finishing the session with the client, and then I hear a knock on the door. And I look outside, and there's the police. So I go to the client and say, I gotta go. I gotta go one more time. And I go outside, and Dante had actually ran away from school. With all the problems, he ran away, and they had to call the cops to go ahead and pick him up. And they were bringing him back saying, you know, we got him, and we don't know what to do next. So that was my day in November. And it kicked off a pretty stressful time for our family, so psychiatrists, psychologists, trying to figure all this stuff out. And it was a real poignant reminder that when we started this gala here, it's called the Live Life Full Gala. And it's called that for a reason, because as you know, our kids literally never feel full. So we want to drive research so that we can actually help them with that. But it's got another meaning. And it's also about helping our kids live sort of full, meaningful lives. And that night, when I was talking with Dante, and he was hysterical and crying, and he actually said, I'm never going to go to high school. I'm never going to be able to get a job. I'm not a real person. And to think that of all the stuff we've done, and here he is in his own way saying he feels he has no meaning in his life, and he's not a real person. So what do you do about it? What's the next step? So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done this past year with the money that literally everyone here has raised at the last gala, and then touch a little bit about what's coming next. So one of the really exciting things is we talk a lot about never feeling full, and there's a number of families that actually started what I would call a treatment, and they're actually starting to report that their kids are saying that they feel full, that they're not hungry. They also go on to report that they feel that the behavior's improved and they're able to manage their weight. So we're hearing more and more of these sort of anecdotal reports, and a couple groups have sort of collected that information. And I guess the most exciting part about this is it's actually a specific dietary intervention that they've talked about. And it's based on a ketogenic diet, sort of a very restricted carb diet, higher in fats. But we actually just announced that we're going to actually now fund a full research project, over $115,000 specifically to figure out how can we actually get this diet into the hands of all of our families with Prader-Willi syndrome. So we're pretty excited about that. And that's directly funded by Canada, and what you guys have done here last year. So the next thing that we've done, and this is coming up in July, and we're pretty excited about it. I know our staff has been working pretty hard and sort of maybe working through all the details, but in July this year, we're going to be hosting an international Prader-Willi syndrome conference right here in Canada. So literally over 500 people from around the world, so parents, caregivers, research, people with PWS are all coming together right here in Toronto. And it's pretty exciting to get all the people together to sit down and figure out, share stories, share benefits, and figure out what can we do to move this forward. And we actually have all these researchers, and as I like to say, we kind of lock them in a room and say, okay, we've done a lot of things, but now you guys got to come up with a plan so we can figure out what to do next. And again, funding that conference and driving it is direct benefit of what you guys here have been able to raise to help us do that. And the last thing I'll touch on the research is, I got a sneak peek, sort of look at the research plan to figure out what's coming, and it's pretty exciting, but it's also sort of crazy that we're at this part, at this point. Because with Prader-Willi syndrome, there's a piece on the 15th chromosome that's, we'd like to say is sort of missing, but I guess technically, it's really just deactivated, it's not working. So one of the projects, one of the streams, is actually looking at reactivating this part, this deactivated part of the 15th chromosome. And it's crazy that we can actually do that now. And I was talking with the researchers, and I said, oh, that seems pretty complicated. And they actually said, well, it's actually relatively straightforward to reactivate it. But what we just don't know is what are the other implications. But theoretically, that's the type of thing, if you reactivate it, all of a sudden you start getting a lot of the benefits that you're missing because this piece isn't working. So of course my next question is like, okay, so how much does that cost? And they said, again, this kind of blows me away, they said, oh, it's probably about $1 million to figure out if it works. So I guess you can imagine what I told him. I said, of course, we're going to do that. Yes, we'll take that for $1 million. So now I'm here, we got to raise another $1 million to figure out how to do that. But it's amazing that we're actually at that part. So to kind of close out, I got to tell you that Dante's year has really sort of turned around. And I have to say a lot of that is based on sort of the hard work and the effort that a lot of his teachers and staff at the school have done. I think they're here. Maybe I'll get them to stand up or wave or something. Yes, wave over there. See them right here. Yes, thank you very much. And so I guess the story I'll tell you is just a couple of weeks ago. And so Dante is now pretty excited about doing his homework and getting ready to go to work, to school. And I'm helping him put on his backpack. And I tell him, hey Dante, remember to brush your teeth? He goes, yes, Dad, I already did. Okay, did you put your deodorant on? And he says, yes, Dad. And then he takes his backpack, he runs away a couple steps, he stops, and he turns around, and he says, Dad, I got my homework done, I'm going to make it to the bus, today's a great day. And I turned to him and I said, yes, Dante, today's a great day. And I just want to thank everybody here for all the help you got done for us, so our children can continue to have great days. Thank you very much.